or the first letter that represents the whole entire alphabet. Like I was saying before, A to Z. When you hear that, that's from beginning to end. So it's the same when it comes to Alpha and Omega in the Greek context. It's beginning to end. A meaning Alpha, find that funny. The letter A, which is the first letter in the English American context, as well as Alpha is the first word, in the Greek context. Just as the letter Z is the last letter to represent the English American context. Once again, what I say from A to Z, or if you ever see people say A to Z, that's beginning to end. Beginning to end, opening to closing. So it's the same when it comes to the Greek term context. Alpha and Omega, beginning to end. Alpha standing for, the beginning, and Omega representing the end. Hopefully that wasn't too much for you. I wasn't losing you. But we could look at the Bible though too. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's look at the Bible and break down the Bible. So, if I recollect, it's 66 books that make up the Bible, right? 66 books from Genesis, Exodus, all the way to Revelations is the closing. So 66 books in all that make up the Bible. Don't ask me how many pages exact. I gotta get into that later. But long story short, we understand that also out of these 66 books is the Old Testament and the New Testament. Now, I went over this prior to me making this video. I had to make sure before I put it out there. But the original or the Old Testament is made up of the Hebrew. Hebrew, remember, is the original language, Jehovah's language that he used. Israelites, the Jews. The first language, Hebrew. This is why most Hebrews are Jews. They use that language. So Hebrew and Aramaic. So Hebrews and Aramaic make up the Old or Original Testament. People from the first generation Christians, so forth, perhaps use that, the Old Testament. They use that context. Now you have the New, the more up-to-date version, which will represent the new context. Remember the Old Testament and the New Testament. So the New would be more the Greek, which we just broke down Alpha and Omega. So that represents the New Testament. That actually stems from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Once you get up to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you could keep that in your membrane or in your memory. That's basically now you into the